months, police in Yeadon, Pennsylvania, I've seen it pronounced both ways, it's just outside of Philadelphia, they had been investigating a very unusual pattern of crimes. There was a string of break-ins happening across multiple different grave sites, with a heavy focus on one location in particular, a location called Mount Mariah Cemetery. Now, this cemetery is massive. There are more than 150,000 graves there. Some of them even date all the way back to the Revolutionary War. And there's one very important detail here. These weren't like cases of vandalism, like tipped over headstones or, graffiti, or maybe somebody take a sledgehammer and, it broke or something like this. These were actual break-ins. Family mausoleums and vaults being forced open and things being taken out. And while that alone is, yes, disturbing, there's also a reason that cemeteries like this can become targets. Because families who can afford mausoleums not only often bury loved ones in there, in this concealed mini house, you could call it, but they bury them with jewelry, with other valuable items, with things that are very important to the family heirlooms. So theft isn't entirely unheard of. But the investigators quickly realized that this wasn't about jewelry or theft. It wasn't about any of that. When they arrived at the scenes, something far more alarming was missing from these mausoleums and these sites: the remains of the people inside. Now, the first official report came in on November 7th, 2025. A volunteer group that helps maintain Mount Mariah Cemetery had contacted the police after discovering extensive damage to one of these mausoleums. The wall had been broken open, and inside, the marble flooring was completely destroyed and open and exposed, which beneath that floor was an underground crypt, and it was open, exposed, and it had been accessed. So once they're looking at everything, nearby, investigators noticed a rope that was tied around a tree branch, and it was secured with a carabiner, one of those metal clips that climbers use. And honestly, it was a detail that really stood out, because that rope was still hanging down below into the crypt, which sat about 10 feet below ground. So whoever did this, they didn't just stumble into it. This took planning. They were using materials to get down inside, to suspend themselves down below. This was carefully thought out. And it wasn't just the damage itself. One full set of human remains was missing. The only item that was even left behind at the scene was a flathead screwdriver with the name Brian etched into it. So, of course, investigators collected it. They swabbed it for DNA. They sent it off for testing. But this was not an isolated incident. After that first report, the break-ins just kept happening, and they became more and more frequent. Police would get another call, return to the cemetery, find more damage, more crypts open, more remains gone, and it was like this constant loop of just living in what felt like a scary movie or a thriller movie, something. Then finally at one scene, investigators thought that they might finally be close because they found a nearly empty energy drink.